Vladimir Putin's war is imploding on his own doorstep, and the visual evidence is absolutely staggering. Putin's failing forces have pulled back from a key stronghold as Ukraine has recaptured a huge 600 square kilometers. Ukraine is expertly blending high-tech attrition with decisive maneuvers, pushing the entire Russian salient to the brink of collapse. As Russia sets Kyiv's historic UNESCO monastery ablaze, and Putin phones Donald Trump to wish him a happy birthday, there are important updates from Ukraine. I'm Philip Ingram, and this is Battle Plans Exposed. Vladimir Putin's war is imploding on his own doorstep, and the visual evidence is absolutely staggering. Deep inside Russia, Ukrainian attack drones have bypassed Moscow's elite air defences, striking a vital oil refinery a mere 15 kilometres from the Kremlin and sending shockwaves through the Russian capital. Simultaneously, the UK has struck an economic blow. In a high-stakes operation, British forces successfully boarded and seized a massive Russian Shadow Fleet oil tanker, intercepting £300 million in illicit oil revenue directly under Putin's nose. There's also been a shocking retreat from Russian forces in a key area and an explosive counterattacks in Donetsk. Before we analyse all of that, let's begin by looking at what's been happening on the front lines. No, this clip is not a UFO flying over Moscow. This is an unexplained flaming object. In fact, we can explain it. It was a roof section of an oil storage tank being blown off. These clips come from Moscow, where the Ukrainian drones have blitzed a major oil refinery in a massive blow to Vladimir Putin's economy. In one clip, an explosion erupts as a fuel tanker goes up in flames. And what we can see here is the black smoke that there is over Moscow. But what's important about this refinery is the fact that it supplies up to 70% of all of the petrol and diesel that the civilians in Moscow use. We're now going to see fuel shortages. And that black smoke is raining oil residue down on the apartment blocks, the houses and the cars of the Muscovites. The war is being taken home. And this is one thing that Vladimir Putin didn't want to happen. This is a dramatic moment one of Putin's warplanes spins out of control and smashes into the ground in Siberia. The Russian Tu-23M3, a supersonic, long-range, nuclear-capable bomber, crashed in a field in Irkutsk. The incident is a fresh humiliation for Putin, as this supersonic bomber crashed in a fireball before an ominous black cloud of smoke billows from the wreckage. Witnesses reported seeing parachuters ejecting as the plane went down, with initial reports suggesting the crew survived the horror crash. But Putin is losing a number of these bombers, and these are the bombers that are launching the Caliber cruise missiles or the Kinzhal hypersonic missiles at Ukraine. He hasn't got many left. In this staggering footage, Ukraine's 422nd Regiment and the SBU have obliterated a rare Russian electronic warfare complex on the southern front. A precision drone strike successfully destroyed a 6-vehicle system specifically designed to blind Ukraine's Starlink network, because Starlink is Ukraine's ultimate battlefield lifeline for real-time drone operations and command and control coordination. These high-value jammers are a top priority target. This loss completely cripples Moscow's tactical electronic warfare, especially since their own space program is facing catastrophic failures. Russia's attempts to build a rival satellite network are literally falling out of the sky, with nearly 2/3 of their initial constellation failing to reach orbit or burning up in the atmosphere. Now, this next clip from the front lines illustrates the calibre of the Russian troops. In a conflict defined by brutal and often bizarre battlefield footage, one extraordinary incident has left military analysts completely baffled. A lone Russian soldier was captured on camera approaching a downed Ukrainian FPV drone that was already smouldering on the ground. Instead of running away or seeking cover from a potentially live explosive device, he calmly gathered the scattered debris of the weapon and tossed it back into the flames. What happened next defies all standard military logic. Rather than retreating to safety, the soldier knelt directly beside the burning wreckage. Whether driven by sheer exhaustion, battlefield shock, or a bizarre moment of fascination, his decision to stay right next to a volatile burning drone highlights the eerie, surreal, and deeply unpredictable reality of modern frontline. He didn't survive. And this final segment comes from the fighters of Ukraine's Defense Intelligence, DIU, and shows a flawless precision strike on a heavily camouflaged Russian military fuel tanker. Operating deep behind enemy lines, special operators deployed a Bulava loitering munition to intercept and incinerate the vehicle on the high traffic route between Nova Kharkova and Metelyapol, because fuel trucks act as the literal lifeblood for Moscow's armoured columns. They become a top priority target for Ukrainian hunter-killer drone units. This spectacular interception is part of an expanding Ukrainian campaign to enforce a total logistics lockdown across the occupied territories. By systematically hunting down supply vehicles along this critical land corridor, Ukraine is successfully choking off vital supplies and starving the Russian front lines of fuel and paralysing their ability to sustain combat operations. Now turning our focus to key developments near the Crimea Peninsula. This is where Putin's failing forces have pulled back from a key stronghold as Ukraine has recaptured a huge 600 square kilometres of land with a brutal counteroffensive. The Russian despots' desperate lads are dramatically retreating from the strategic Kinburn split. This is a peninsula south of Mykolaiv that juts out from Ukraine into the Black Sea. Russian forces are fleeing the region due to the huge intensity of the Ukrainian drone strikes, and this is according to pro-Ukrainian Atesh group, in a humiliation for ageing tyrant Vladimir Putin. It comes as Ukraine's top military commander, Oleksandr Syrsky, said that his forces had recaptured more than 600 square kilometres of territory so far this year. In May alone, Ukraine grabbed more than 100 square kilometres more territory than it lost, a sign that the tide is turning on Putin's meatgrinder army after years of slow progress from Russia. In a stunning strategic masterstroke highlighted by military analysts this week, Ukraine has initiated a comprehensive logistics lockdown across the southern front, systematically disabling every major road bridge connecting occupied Kherson and the Crimean Peninsula. In a highlight, Ukraine has destroyed a major railway bridge across the North Crimean Canal in the area of Razhetlony in occupied Crimea. Stunning footage shows the railway exploding as forces cut off Putin's logistic pathways. Within a rapid window, high-precision drone and missile strikes successfully severed critical supply arteries, including 3 major crossings, obliterating massive military cargo convoys and leaving an estimated 110,000 Russian troops facing an unprecedented logistical nightmare. Cut off from their primary fuel and ammunition corridors and squeezed into bottleneck checkpoints, Moscow's southern forces have been functionally isolated, drastically shifting the operational initiative as Ukraine completely paralyses Russia's ability to sustain its frontline defences. Now more developments in the Donetsk region as a major tactical shift has unfolded. Ukrainian units successfully broke through lines to liberate 2 key settlements. Podubny, positioned along the critical northern axis towards the Dnipro regional border, and the settlement of Voskrenka, which is just to the southwest of that. This sudden 8-kilometre push represents a significant rupture in that front line that had previously seen months of gruelling, stagnant trench warfare. According to recent strategic assessments released over the last few days, this Ukrainian breakthrough throws a massive wrench into Russia's broader operational goals for the season. For months, Moscow has focused heavily on securing the administrative borders of the Donetsk region, relying on costly infantry assaults to chip away at Ukrainian defences. By reclaiming Podubny and Voskrenka, Ukraine has not only pushed Russian forces out of hard-won tactical staging grounds, but has also disrupted the localised logistic corridors the Kremlin was using to threaten deeper thrusts into the territory. Faced with this sudden reversal, military intelligence indicates that the Russian High Command is scrambling to react. Research shows that Moscow is already preparing to redeploy personnel and heavy reinforcements from other sectors to shore up its newly fractured defensive lines. As Russia desperately attempts to plug these gaps in the coming days, we will see an intensification of heavy fighting in this sector. as Ukraine attempts to consolidate its newly won 8-kilometre buffer while forcing Russia to a reactive defensive posture. Now, what we're seeing in this area, and we're seeing it not coloured red, is an indicator of the fact that the front line is not a fixed line. We have got an area of depth about 12 to 15 kilometres because this is the area that has been controlled by FPV drones. So what is not clear is the level of Russian forces that there were forward in these positions, or whether they were some of the little infiltration groups that are sent in groups of 2, 4 or slightly more to go in and take pictures of themselves and bits of territory to hold it. But what is clear is that the Russians no longer have the ability to report that they have captured that territory. The Ukrainians have secured it back again. Now let's pivot to the front lines in Ukraine, where there has been a big development near the city of Lyman. That's in the north of the Donetsk Oblast. Ukrainian forces have launched a devastating counteroffensive along the defensive line close to Shandryholove, 16 kilometres from Lyman. And after months of costly Russian assaults, Ukrainian forces didn't just halt the enemy advance, they turned a gruelling active defence into a springboard for a major counteroffensive. While quietly rotating troops, improving logistics and systematically dismantling Russian supply lines over the Zerbets River, Ukraine wore down the enemy's combat power through sharp, localised counterattacks. By the time the main operation was unleashed, Russian formations were already heavily depleted and dangerously exposed across a vulnerable salient north of Lyman, setting the stage for a dramatic breakthrough. Ukrainian forces executed swift pincer manoeuvres to the west and south, trapping key enemy positions around Rydkobub and Shandryholove into tight operational encirclements. Driving this tactical success, the revolutionary development of unmanned ground vehicles was key. These ground drones maintain stable supply lines under intense artillery fire, while smaller, explosive-strapped remote cars are driven directly into Russian bunkers to collapse them. Meanwhile, larger, heavily armoured ground drones equipped with machine guns suppress enemy positions, drawing hostile fire away from Ukrainian infantry and allowing them to clear the area without taking friendly casualties. To seal the trap, Ukrainian operators established absolute FPV drone fire control over the Zerbets River, turning Russian attempts to rush reinforcements into a series of disasters. Every crossing point has become a hunting ground, with transport vehicles and reinforcement troops targeted and destroyed long before they can reach the front lines. Ultimately, this offensive demonstrates how Ukraine is expertly blending high-tech attrition with decisive manoeuvres, pushing the entire Russian salient to the brink of collapse, while showing the world how to transform a steadfast defence into a dominant offensive opportunity. What we're beginning to see here from the Ukrainians is true maneuverism, the manoeuvrist approach to warfare, not fixed Soviet-style tactics that the Russians are still doing, that the Ukrainians have developed, but they're bringing together the all-arms of infantry, of the FPV drones. They're even beginning to use armour in some of this, and we're seeing it to good effect. Let's take a look at some of the new weapon systems that are coming online for Ukraine. Ukraine's Ministry of Defence has officially codified and approved a revolutionary new asset for its frontline troops, a domestically produced tactical electric motorcycle named the Wolfstorm, engineered specifically for high-stakes military operations. This agile machine allows 2 fully equipped servicemen to navigate the battlefield in near total silence, drastically reducing their acoustic signature. Featuring a specialised mid-drive configuration, the bike is built to offer superior handling and stability across treacherous, hilly and off-road terrain, giving Ukrainian scouts and special forces a massive advantage in stealth reconnaissance and rapid deployment. Despite its rugged combat-ready chassis, the Wolfstorm remains remarkably lightweight at just 105 kilograms, powered by a centrally mounted 8-kilowatt electric motor and a traditional chain drive. It can reach speeds of up to 80 kilometers an hour and boasts an impressive operational range of roughly 100 kilometers. Crucially, for fast-paced frontline scenarios, the motorcycle features a reverse gear for tight spaces, and can be fully charged in just 4 hours, and supports rapid battery swapping, ensuring that Ukrainian operators can stay mobile, silent and lethal without ever being bogged down by traditional fuel supply lines. It's good to see motorbikes coming back in the front line, because when I commanded my intelligence company, my whole company headquarters deployed by motorbike, and I had the good old British Army Harley Davidson MT350. That was a beast. And we had some lightweight Honda DR250 that my airborne military intelligence section used, but they had no one with a motorbike license, so I kept them in company headquarters. It was fun chasing an armoured divisional headquarters across Salisbury Plain and other exercise areas. These bikes transform mobility across the battle space. Ukraine has also officially taken its devastating naval drone warfare beneath the waves, unveiling a massive 10-ton, extra-large, uncrewed underwater vehicle named the Sea Trident. Developed by Ukrainian firm Global Mark, this heavy submersible is engineered for extreme long-range autonomous missions, boasting a staggering operational range of 2,000 nautical miles, operating with an incredibly low observable profile at depths of up to 60 meters. The Sea Trident is practically invisible to surface radar. Its primary purpose is to covertly penetrate contested maritime zones and deliver a colossal 1,000 kilogram payload of explosives directly into strategic targets, major warships and heavily fortified coastal infrastructure. But what truly sets this underwater titan apart is its sophisticated dual-role design. Beyond acting as a devastating offensive weapon, the Sea Trident is uniquely capable of intercepting and neutralizing enemy underwater drones. To achieve this, the submersible is equipped with advanced sonar systems and cutting-edge artificial intelligence algorithms capable of conducting autonomous underwater combat. As the Black Sea evolves into a fiercely contested subsurface battleground, Ukraine's development of AI-driven hunter-killer drones ensures they aren't just defending their waters, but actively pioneering the future of naval warfare into the Russian-controlled waters. And finally, we have heard how Ukraine has developed a unique DART missile, launched directly from a stratospheric aerostatus, which is effectively a weather balloon. Developed by the Centre of Innovative Technologies programme, the DART missile is a game-changing air-launch system that floats into the stratosphere using a specialised meteorological balloon, for want of another way of describing it. The launch takes place at staggering altitudes between 12 and 18 kilometres, where high-precision servos ensure a stable flight trajectory regardless of the release conditions. Don't let its compact size fool you. The sleek missile is just 1.84 metres long and weighs a nimble 13 kilograms, yet it can carry a highly customisable 3.5 to 10 kilogram warhead packed with graphite penetrating elements. The true brilliance of the DART, however, lies in its absolute immunity to enemy electronic warfare. Standard precision weapons are notoriously vulnerable to jamming, but the DART outsmarts the system with a clever ghost protocol controlled algorithm. It utilises traditional navigation during its initial descent, but the moment it drops to an altitude of 6 kilometres, it shuts down its electronic signal reception entirely. Instantly, a solid fuel engine ignites, locking the missile into a fixed, unalterable course. Because it is no longer receiving any radio signals, enemy jammers are rendered completely useless, leaving the DART physically untouchable by electronic disruption and unstoppable on its way to the target. So that's all for today's Battle Plans Exposed. Thank you for watching. Now, if you like what you've seen, please share it amongst your friends, click like, and if you've got any comments, any requests, put them in the comments below. But I look forward to welcoming you to the next edition, and thank you for watching today. I'm Philip Ingram. Goodbye.